I'm Brian Marok with Beta USA, and today we're going to go over the importance of the procedure when you're installing your front wheel on your motorcycle. Now, a lot of guys just want to throw it on there, tighten up the axle, tighten up the pinch bowls, and hit the road, but unfortunately that's going to often cause the forks to bind because they might be inward or outward on the axle a little bit. So we're going to cover the procedure to how to properly get those forks aligned and then torque the pinch bolts and the axle. So one thing I want to point out before we go ahead and install the front wheel is you want to make sure that your front axle is greased up. We have some nice white lithium grease on here. It offers a nice smooth ride for the axle and prevents corrosion and stuff building up on that. So when you go to pull it or install it, it slides in there easily. So we're going to go ahead and get the front wheel in there, line up the rotor with the brake caliper in between the pads. Smoothly, hopefully. Once you've got that lined up, I like to use my foot to kind of hold the front wheel where it needs to be and get the axle started. So once we've got the axle in there, everything should line up and slide smoothly together. Sometimes you got to give it a little tap, but it should slide in pretty smoothly just like that. And we're going to go ahead and install the axle cap. We're going to tighten that up just a bit. We'll come back through and torque that when we're done, but for the procedure here, we want to get that just snug. And then you're going to tighten up your caliper leg first, which is going to be your left fork leg or right side if you're on the front of the bike. But we'll get those bolts seated there. And just for right now, we're going to get those snug. And we always start with the inside, and then we move to the outside. So again, we're going to come back and torque this, but for right now, this is just getting the axle tight in there so that we can adjust the right side. So there's two methods that people like to do for this. We're going to do the spin the tire and tap the front brakes. The other method is to take it off of the stand, pump the front brakes a couple times. The whole idea is to get this right fork leg to slide on the axle and settle so that it's even and parallel with the other fork leg. So the way that we like to do it here, get the brakes pumped up, spin the tire, and pump the front brake. And while you're doing that, that's going to kind of shock the system there and allow that fork leg to settle and move back and forth on the axle if need be. Then we're going to go through and tighten up the pinch bolts on this fork leg. Again, inside, outside. Get those nice and snug. Then we're going to come back through with the torque wrench. Now the Beta manual says to tighten these to 11 Newton meters. So again, we're going to start on the opposite side on the inside. And you're just going to go back and forth a few times to make sure that they're both nice and even torque. And we're going to come back over to this side. And you'll notice as one tightens up, you'll come back to the other one and it'll get another little bit of a turn sometimes before you hear the buzzer or you feel the torque wrench vibrate. So once those are good and tight, we're going to go ahead and torque the axle, which on the Beta here, if you check your manual, is 50 Newton meters. So we'll go ahead and adjust the torque wrench. And we're going to tighten that axle down to 50 Newton meters. Sometimes I like to reset and get a couple of pulls on there just to make sure that you're not over tightening it. That's the proper procedure for torquing the pinch bolts on your front wheel to make sure that your forks are aligned properly.